Our mini burlesque series has been so much fun, and today's guest is the cherry on top. I'm Kat Calvin, and welcome to Choose the Bear. We have been lucky enough to speak to the iconic Pearl Noir and the executive director of the Burlesque Hall of Fame, Dustin Wax. And today we are finishing off our little burlesque series, although not finishing off with interviewing burlesque performers, wink wink, with the incredible, iconic Dirty Martini. I saw Dirty Martini perform in Las Vegas in the Dita Von Teese show earlier this summer, and it really was the thing that kicked off this entire series. She was so amazing, I knew I had to speak to her. And she was so joyful and vivacious and extraordinary. It was a wonderful conversation. I think you'll love it. And hopefully you'll go back and listen to Pearl and Dustin if you haven't listened to them already. This is also our last episode of the year. We'll be back on January 7th with a whole new slate of really, really incredible women who I am so honored and thrilled were open to being interviewed by me. But for the rest of the year, this is a great time to go back and listen to any episodes you didn't listen to or watch them on YouTube. And don't forget, of course, to like, subscribe, comment, and share these with anyone you think might be interested in these women's absolutely amazing stories. So without further ado, here is Dirty Martini. Oh my gosh, everyone. I'm so excited. I'm wearing my Dita Von Teese t-shirt because I was so lucky this summer. I went to Las Vegas. I saw the absolutely amazing Dita Von Teese burlesque show. That doesn't even begin to describe it. It's an extravaganza. It's this unbelievable jaw-dropping experience. And the absolutely incredible Dirty Martini performed, and my friends and I were so floored. It was so amazing. And now you're here. Oh my God.
Yay!
I'm so thrilled. I literally left and I was like, I gotta see if I could get her on the podcast because you're just so incredible. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me on, and thanks for coming to our show. It's really a special gem of a show for us. We love it.
It was so astounding. I want to talk about it, but first, I always like to let my guests introduce themselves. So tell everyone in your own words who you are and what you do.
Well, hi, everybody out there who doesn't know who Miss Dirty Martini is. There's a lot of you out there. As my mother says, I'm her favorite minor celebrity. So I started burlesque about as a contemporary dancer. I came to New York after having gone to college for contemporary dance, and coming to New York, that's the center of dance in America for me. So, like intellectual dance, that is, not just like the cha-cha-cha music video stuff, or Broadway or whatever. But I was really into the academic contemporary modern dance. And I thought, where do I fit in as a plus size woman pre any kind of idea of body positivity in the world? It was in the early 90s. And for me, I had gone through a lot of awakening as far as being a dancer and being told my whole life that I'll never be a dancer because of my body. And so moving to New York, I was searching for a venue that would, first of all, show that I was an actual trained dancer, because once people look at your body and they see a curvy girl, they don't think trained performer, unless you're a singer. A lot of times, singers will have what Pavarotti calls an important body. But dancers are often only thought of as athletes and athletic looking type people. So coming into it, I was looking for a way that people could see me as a dancer first and, and just sort of put me into context. So I thought that the 1950s and that uber bombshell look could be really good to put me in that context. And that's kind of where burlesque sort of, when I found burlesque, it was like the old burlesque, like the Irving Claw loops, the Times Square, late 1930s, strip teasers.
Yeah. I think one of the things that has always struck me about burlesque, and I think particularly seeing the show in Vegas, is that there are so many body types. They're just women and men, which was amazing to see so many men who are just look like absolutely everything, look like the world, right? But are all so glamorous and beautiful. And I mean, I would even take it a step beyond body positivity, where it's just like body proud, right? It's just like we're out here, and there's so much power in it. And I found that to be really extraordinary. What has your perspective been on that as you've seen the world change? Because I remember the 90s, and it was the exact opposite of body positivity.
Oh, Lord.
It was skinny jeans and heroin chic. So as the world is sort of changing, and now we're sort of going back, who knows? How is that positivity been reflected in burlesque for you?
Well, I think we've made so many strides as women and also people of color being more visible in the world, and also differently gendered people as well. I think that these past 10 years have been revolutionary as far as people being able to exist in their bodies and feel good about themselves. And that is just something that makes me feel so happy and so proud that I've been a part of that transformation. So, yeah. So the Dita Von Teese show is the tip of that iceberg as far as burlesque goes. Burlesque is every little town and every little country has a burlesque show, and a lot of them have just people discovering their own bodies and discovering their own power and discovering how to express gender. And it's just really exciting to watch everyone's journey.
It is. And I mean, I love that. Yeah. Especially I think over the last 10 or 15 years, I feel like there's just been burlesque shows all over, and sometimes it's in theaters and sometimes it's in little bars, but it's everywhere, which has been amazing. And one of the things that I love about it, and that I feel particularly more and more often when I'm going and seeing burlesque shows, is that, it's a mix of comedy and glamour and all of these things and storytelling. It's also really political, and even just having a body, especially as a woman, and being out in the world is political. But there are so many elements of that. How do you balance that in your own burlesque? And like, how have you seen that exemplified in burlesque as a whole?
Since the beginning of my career, I've always considered just stepping onto the stage without clothes in my body a political act. So I have always approached it from that atmosphere, and I noticed that it really resonates with people. So that's something that I've just been actually really privileged to have that experience, to watch people's minds change in real time. And it's very exciting. So for me, I have a very huge range of performance styles. I have more political pieces. I have more down and dirty kind of performance art pieces. And then I have what I do in the Dita Von Teese show, which is a little bit more like old school 1950s body burlesque with a lot of tassel twirling.
So many tassels, so many sequins. So we have to talk about, so I am a dry gin martini with a twist kind of girl. You are the only dirty martini that I like. How did you come up with your name?
Well, it's funny because my birth name actually spell checks Martini on computers. So when I was a temp and I was, trying to write emails, and then it would come up, "Don't you want to be a Martini?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do, actually. Really do." And then, I've always had with my name in programs spelled wrong because I have an Italian name with lots of letters in it. So to be a Martini shortens it right down. And then my friend was a Dirty Martini fan, and I'd never heard of that drink. And so I was like, wow. I was like, that kind of encapsulates cocktail culture and irony in a way that I really relate to.
It's perfect, and especially when you think about, you talking about how you were embodying, 30s, 40s, 50s burlesque, and it's such a 50s drink, and it's so classic, and so for me it felt perfect. I love it.
Well, I'm sorry you don't get into the flavor of it. I do love an olive brine. It reminds me of the ocean, and I'm a real mermaid.
Well, I'm always like, get that olive away from my martini. I don't want it in the same room. So I love that you talked about being a classically trained dancer, because one thing that was very clear watching the show in Vegas is we were like, every single one of these people has been dancing since their feet came out of the womb. Like it was so incredible. And it made me think a lot about how do you even build a new routine? What does that look like when you're starting from scratch and designing a routine all the way through to like how it ends up on stage?
Well, the performance I did in the show that you saw was with a prop that Dita Von Teese loans me for her show, which is a carousel horse. And it's one of her iconic acts. It's like after the martini glass, it was kind of her first big prop that she had made. And she and Catherine Delish, her bestie, who's like an amazing costume designer, designs a lot of Dita's costumes. They hand rhinestone that pony. So wow. For her to call me up and say, "Hey, wouldn't it be fun if you did my carousel act?" And I was like, amazing. What? So I had kind of a month before tour to get that act together. And I'd never been even close to that prop. So I asked for specs for the prop first to see. And then I had to kind of figure out how I would look best on the prop. But I was all guessing. So I visited a lot of carousels that month. Luckily, it was the summertime. So I was like, gee, I wonder if this is like the carousel horse. And I I pretended on carousels all over the U.S.
That is really funny. So oh, sorry, did you want to go?
But then I thought to myself, because Dita is so iconic in her Vargas beauty looks, and I was like, I'm going to look a little different sort of sitting on a prop, with my curves. I need to make sure that my waist is visible all the time. So I called up, right after I hung up with Dita, I called up my costume designer, David Quinn, and I was like, I need my waist to look snatched. I need, something that is going to match this carousel horse in color and style. And between the two of us, we kind of came up with this, the look of this costume, mainly based on this corset I already had, which was light blue in color. And so then we sprinkled in some pastels from there. And, we kind of, as I was walking down the street, I heard this music that I was like, oh, that's perfect, So it really came together very quickly, this one, but it doesn't always.
So try to put my words together. So I was lucky enough that last week or the week before, I interviewed Pearl Noir, who is
the best.
Yeah, she's like amazing. And I made the mistake of telling her that I had considered taking a burlesque class, and then she was like, "You got to do it." I was like, "I don't know, I can't dance. I'm terrified." But one of the things that I was thinking about, and I will admit, I had some wine. I did a little YouTube burlesque dance class.
Cute, I love it.
I was embarrassed in front of my pillows. But I was thinking about, part of what I think feels so intimidating, besides the whole like clothing optional thing, is that, you know, I'm used to looking at burlesque dancers like you who are so incredible and so trained, and I am not. When I was little, I wanted to be Maria Tall Chief. I kept spraining my ankle. My mom made me stop doing ballet. That was the end of my dance career. I was like 7.
I love your icon, though. She's fabulous.
I worship her. And so if you are you know, giving advice to noobs like me who are like, I don't want to take a class, what would your advice be for those of us who perhaps do not have dance experience or even talent?
Well, especially, I love the idea of you taking an online class and just seeing how it fits in your body. You know, I mean, you don't ever have to go beyond that if you don't want to, you know, it's like, but I would suggest that after you take that class, just sit down with yourself in a meditative state and say, what were the 3 best things that happened in my mind when I opened it up to my body like that? You know, because a lot of times when we do something new, it's always the worst things that we think about. You know, we're always so self-critical. So I think that it's really good to focus on, like, right after you do something new, to be like, okay, what are the takeaways? You know, like, what are some good things that I maybe didn't expect?
I like that. You know, one of the things I've been surprised as I've been doing research for talking to you, talking to Pearl, is that there's so many people who say like, oh, I took this burlesque class and it changed the way I see myself. It changed the way I see my body. It changed the way I interact with the world. And I found that really interesting. What are your thoughts sort of about why that might be?
Well, I think a lot of times we, you know, like I said, with the negativity, it's like a lot of us, not everybody, but a lot of women I know have always been very self-critical. And that comes from outside sources, from being very, very young. But when you're also criticized by every adult around you growing up, like I was, you know, like I always had 2 minds. I always knew that, oh, my body's fine for regular life, but for dancing, it's not, you know, and all the adults in my life were reinforcing that split and being like, you know, yeah, you're fine for, yeah, what's wrong with boobs? Men like them, you know, like that. But no women in my life had the perspective of how do I feel about my body and what does wearing this make me feel like? Does this make me feel good? Does this make me feel embarrassed? Does this, you know, like, how do I feel about covering up myself? Because a lot of people just trying to get through life day to day will wear very baggy clothes so that they can just get through the day without having anybody make any comments, you know? So it's good to have a space where we can just take all that stuff, put it to the side, and really think about how it makes us feel to move and be in our bodies, and just for a little bit.
Yeah. I love that. So who are some of the your best or your favorite burlesque inspirations?
Well, it's funny. I was just Pearl Noir, you know, come on. I love what she's done with her career, and what she's doing for other people is amazing. But always watching her in the Dita Von Teese show when we were on tour was like, it's an awesome thing. And then we were also in Suzanne Barsh's McKittrick show in New York for a long time together. And just to watch her, she doesn't perform so much as she creates a magic spell over the audience. And when I see performers like that, that is like a really special experience live. And that's something I think that this generation is kind of losing because of COVID and because of online content. I feel like getting out and seeing something live, it can be so transformative. Live theater is so important. And I'm hoping that we can still keep creating it.
I know. I hope so too. I mean, and I think that's one thing that I love about burlesque particularly is, again, I've seen it in like the back of tiny little bars and, the biggest stage possible in Vegas, but it feels like it is something that is more adaptable than a lot of art forms. I'm while and yet it still gives you sort of the same feeling of showmanship and embodiment, but it can really just be a woman on a floor in front of you, not even on stage, doing a performance, and it feels so alive.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is trying to figure out how to take one of my big stage acts and make it for, a 4x6 platform. And changing in a broom closet.
Oh, the life of an artist.
I actually did see Dita do her carousel horse on a 4x6 platform.
Oh, you're kidding.
And it was pretty amazing.
That's amazing. When I was in college, I worked at the Edinburgh Fringe one summer, and this one group did, it was 80-second Hamlet, but basically they crowded 3 actors and 2 or 3 audience members in an elevator, and they just did it for as long as it took the elevator to go up and down, and it was amazing.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah. I love Edinburgh for that stuff.
Yeah, the Fringe is amazing for anyone who can afford to go to Edinburgh. But if you can do it, it's amazing. So one of the things that I am so interested in right now, speaking of the younger generations, is the future of burlesque. You are a teacher, an icon, an inspiration. Where do you see where burlesque is now, and where do you see it going?
Well, in our country right now, it's hard to say. I mean, when the government is taking over the Kennedy Center and cutting arts funding left and right. I mean, already arts funding only goes to spaces and big organizations. It doesn't filter down to artists for the most part. We're still a little bit left to our own devices, and that can be really great on a one hand, if you can find the space to do your work and, be able to support yourself. Mm-hmm. That's pretty amazing. But I am worried about the future of the arts in this country.
So one of the things in my real life, I work in politics and activism. And one of the things that I'm very excited about is that once we kick this moron out, or he kicks the bucket first, whatever happens, when we recover, I feel like it's going to be a really good chance for us to I don't want to say overcorrect because that has a negative tone to it, but to sort of correct plus, right? So obviously we're going to change the Kennedy Center back to the name of the Kennedy Center. But then when we reinstate funding, my hope is that, because it'll be the first time in decades that we really look at, right? NEA funding, and that will say, hey, we have to rebuild this anyways. Let's rebuild it in a way so that we're not just giving it to the big organizations, that we're actually giving money to small organizations. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for us to look at things that we haven't looked at in decades and say, let's actually do this the right way, since we're fixing all of this idiot's mistakes anyways.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed, If you're 10 years old out there, good luck.
If you're 10 years old, by the time you're old enough to walk into a burlesque club in 8 years or 11, I don't know how that works, it's going to be amazing. There'll be burlesque for everybody.
I hope so.
I hope so too. And I mean, one of the things that I'm interested in, is that there's a lot of talk right now about, so Gen Z, and how, because their whole lives are on camera, essentially, that there's a lot of fear of them trying anything new.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to be cringe, because, we had the privilege when we were younger of being as embarrassing as possible, and it only lasted as long as your friends remembered it. Right?
That's right.
There were no camera phones. But now, I get it. I would be afraid too. And yet, we can see in trying things like burlesque that actually that's something that gives you courage and that makes you feel positive. And you have to fail. It's the only way you get better at things. And so, are you seeing, even now with sort of things that are happening, that there are young people who are coming to classes and that are interested in burlesque? Do you feel like it is a thing that's given, regardless of sort of politics, that we can keep alive? That's an art form that you see staying alive?
Well, I think that teaching and the kind of lessons that you learn through burlesque go so beyond any kind of generational gap or beyond any even nationality. You know, I'm seeing burlesque classes popping up everywhere. And even though when you hear about it in the press, if you see anybody writing about burlesque, it's usually like, what is burlesque? What is this thing? You know, and it's a little bit like, that's cringy to me. I'm like, how can you, I mean, the revival's been underway since 1991. Get with it, people. I also think that, you know, there's something really funny about that cringy idea. I mean, I see a lot of modesty in the younger generation, so much more than the older generation to me. You know, like people are so much more scared to put themselves out there than they used to be. And, you know, it's an interesting thing. And I wonder what's going to happen as people kind of come of age and sort of look back at that and see what they think. You know, I have a feeling there's going to be a really ballsy generation out there once people hit their 30s and 40s.
They need to drink more martinis is what it is.
Yeah, I heard people aren't drinking so much.
They're not drinking enough. Millennials are drinking enough for everybody. But come on, kids, get out there, have a few martinis. All the cringe will go away.
Well, I think loosening up is actually a good thing. You don't need a drink to do that, but loosening up is definitely the way to go, you know, and just giving yourself a little leeway to make mistakes. And that, you know, what's so funny about that is that I found the kind of beauty of that first few months of lockdown and COVID was so refreshing to me, because all of a sudden people were trying things and failing in such a epic way, you know, and it didn't seem to matter to anyone. You know, it just was like, yay, good for you. Go out there and you do what you can to survive. Yeah. And I just thought that first couple of months of lockdown was so refreshing for me, because I thought so many people were trying new things.
Yeah. I'm an introvert. I loved lockdown. I think every 7 years we should get 1 year of lockdown for the introverts. I think it's only fair. Please. I would love to close out. You performed all over. Oh, also let's talk about, because this will come out before you're doing this big European tour, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So where are you going and when?
Well, the anchor show for that is the Sacre Burlesque Festival in Reims, France, which is is in the Champagne region of France. So I said, yes, I'd love to do your festival, only if I get to tour the Veuve Clicquot factory. Because I'm a big fan of the Widow Clicquot.
Oh, well, you know what? I have an interview last season with the woman who wrote her biography. I'm obsessed with the Widow Clicquot. Yeah, so.
Yeah, same. So cool. Yeah, that book made amazing. The rounds. So I start in Reims, France, and then I go to visit some friends in Finland. I'm doing a little salon there, and a show in Berlin at the Winter Garden with Sheila Wolf, who's an amazing producer over in Berlin. And then finishing up in the Netherlands in the School of Burlesque in Amsterdam. I have one more class available, which is a costuming workshop. And then I'm doing a bunch of dance workshops there, and some privates with people who need to sort of hone their acts, which I do. And you can also reach me on my Instagram, Dirty Martini NYC. If you're interested, if you're an advanced burlesque performer and you need to hone your acts a little bit, I really love to tweak things. And I have private coaching for that. Or if you just want to start out and don't know where to start, I love doing that too, poking people into the right hole.
That's so scary. No, it's amazing. I think it's so cool, and it was amazing talking to Pearl Noir as well, and just like you're such an icon. You've built such a career that now you get to do these incredible things, you know, and do like salons in Finland and whatever. And then you're in Vegas, and one day, like, your life, you are very glamorous and you have a very glamorous life. But I think it's also a really cool example of how people can choose the thing that is their passion, whatever it is, and find a way to have it and build an amazing life around it.
Yeah, it is. That is the thing that has been so amazing to me and so made possible by the life we live in New York City. I live in New York City, and it's allowed me the space to be able to transform my identity. And I think that happens for a lot of people there because it's just so big. Nobody gives a shit.
Yes, exactly. Well, and again, for the kids, nobody cares. First of all, I honestly, I can remember one or two like really pivotally humiliating moments in my 20s, but for the most part,
Who doesn't have those?
Nobody. We all do, right? Like, you know, nobody remembers, and most of the time, unless you live in the world's smallest town, in which yes, everybody cares about everything you do, but in most places, everyone's too busy living their own lives to really care too much about what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a really good lesson in life to be able to put yourself out there and not really care about what people think. I mean, you can tell if people are catching on to what you're doing. And if they aren't, you know, and you love it, keep going. And if you start to not love it and people aren't catching on, then you'll know to move on to something else and figure something else out. That's how I was. I was trying to do like contemporary dance solos, and I was like, I hate working alone. Mm-hmm. I hate, you know, the look of wonder, like, what are you doing on people's faces? But once you find that thing that you connect with, it's so great. And I'm actually looking right now for that next thing. So.
Well, I can't wait. I can't thank you enough. It's been such an honor to talk to you. I will never forget seeing your performance. It was so extraordinary. So thank you for being here.
Oh, I'm so glad that it made an impact on you. And, you know, that's why I do what I do. I really love to see the look on people's faces when it all twists and they go, what? You could be a showgirl?
I want a big feather headdress and a little sequin pasty. Like, that's all I want. That's
we can make that happen.
This is as close as I may get.
Well, you know, before I started doing burlesque, I actually went to a drag festival and I just wore my burlesque outfit out, and I was like, let's see how this goes. And people really loved it. So I was like, cool, I guess I got a new career.
Oh, I love that you have a habit of testing things out. Like, I'm going to go to every carousel and practice my dance. I'm going to go to a drag festival. I'm just you're taking things out into the world. I love it.
Why not? Raise it up the flagpole. See if anybody salutes.
Oh my gosh. Well, Ms. Dirty Martini, thank you. You're such a joy. I'm so thrilled to have met you. Thank you so much.
Oh, great to meet you too. And thanks for having me on.
Well, I hope that Ms. Martini inspired you as much as she did me. Have a great holiday, a great new year. We'll be back on January 7th. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, do all of the things, and we'll see you next year.